Thank you for joining us. Good morning. This year, our Quality Day has a new theme. It is planning for the future, responding to the present. The Department of Institutional Effectiveness and Research is proud to be able to continue to offer this annual event to the university community and those faculty and staff who are involved with assessment. We're starting this year's event with a strategic planning panel discussion where we will be joined by Dr. Mark Rudin. He is the president of A&M Commerce, Dr. John Humphreys, provost and VP for academic affairs, Dr. Cece Gassner, vice president for research and economic development, Dr. Ray Green, he's the professor and the dean of Honors College, Dr. Ricky Dobbs, associate provost for academic foundations, Dr. Yvonne VR, dean of College of Innovation and Design, Dr. Judy Ballenger, professor of educational leadership, faculty senate president, Dr. LaVelle Hendricks, assistant professor in Department of Counseling, chair of University Civility Task Force, Miss Judy Sackfield, vice president for student success and dean of students, Dr. Edward Romero, chief human resources officer, Dr. Lee Young, vice president for urban academic initiatives, Ms. Nechell vice president for enrollment management. Questions or comments for the panelists can be submitted through chat during the panel, which will be monitored by institutional effectiveness staff. There will also be a Q&A at the end where you can share your questions still through chat. If you submit a question through chat, please try to specify to whom the question is addressed if you are able to. Finally, join me in welcoming our panelists. We will turn to Dr. Rudin for the first opening and introduction. We have 3 questions for Dr. Rudin. The first question, why do we engage in strategic planning?
Well, Dan-Sue, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much to you and the folks at the Institutional Effectiveness Office for putting this on and for all the work you do for our university and just really appreciate that. So I'll jump right in since we're maybe on a bit of a time schedule here. So why do we engage in strategic planning? I can think of a couple reasons why we do that. Of course, the logical one is that it sets the course for the university, a roadmap, and I think our strategic plan that we recently put together does a really good job in acknowledging who we were and who we want to be and what we aspire to be. That's probably the first and foremost reason we do that, to set the roadmap, to set the course. But it also allows us to put together a document that provides a roadmap to alignment throughout the ranks of the university, whether it's academic affairs, academic departments, ancillary units, and so forth. It really does allow us to say, here's the plan of the university. Now, please go examine how we can apply the basic principles and tenets of this plan to each of the individual departments and offices across the university. I think it also helps us inform and allows us to make informed decisions on new initiatives, new programs, and kind of what's near and dear to me is that eventually, when we stop getting cut by the legislature, we can start aligning our initiatives and our strategic plan with our budget, and the budget should never inform the strategic plan of the mission. The mission should always inform the budget, and that is one principle that we will never sway from. And then finally, it helps us tell our story. I look at everyone across the screen. I think if not every day, every week, you're probably getting, hey, what's going on at the university? What's the university doing? Where's the university going? Okay, it allows us to have that set the course, and allows us to have that elevator pitch response to people, and really tells folks who we are and again who we want to be.
Thank you, Dr. Rudin.
Mhm.
A&M Commerce mission is educate, discover, and achieve. A&M Commerce vision strives to transform lives, advance knowledge, serve an inclusive community, and foster collaboration. So next question, Dr. Rudin. Institutional effectiveness is defined as measuring performance against the mission. How would you describe the mission of A&M Commerce as reflected in our new mission statement?
Yeah. And as you all know, just to reiterate, educate, discover, and achieve. And I have to be honest with you, when I first saw that stated mission statement, straightforward and simple, I was like, do I like that? You know, it affords a lot of opportunity for interpretation. But, you know, as I talked to the strategic planning committee that did indeed put that together, it grew on me. And now I'm really starting to like it. And I'll tell you why, because I think that mission statement of educate, discover, and achieve, first and foremost, applies to our students. And I think it's a rallying cry for all of us, support services, academics, whatever that may be, to achieve that for each and every one of our students. But I also think it's incredibly important that folks realize that this is also for staff and faculty also. How do you educate yourself? How do you continue to learn? How do you achieve? How do you discover through research and other avenues? So even though we're extremely focused on the student at our university, I hope folks across the campus understand that this institution is not just for learning and figuring things out for students. It's for advancement and learning for every member of the campus community.
Thank you, Dr. Rudin. Okay, now let's move to the strategic priorities. The order of the panel discussion is organized by strategic priorities, and we have 5 of those priorities. Each priority has 3 goals underneath of them. So let's go to Dr. Humphreys. Dr. Humphreys is going to stress the strategic priority of elevated research. Under elevated research, those 3 goals are: first, strengthen infrastructure for research and creative activity. Goal 2, gain distinction as a high research activity institution by identifying and advancing targeted research initiatives. Goal 3, encourage interdisciplinary and student-involved collaboration. So first question, Dr. Humphreys, why is elevating research an important strategic priority to help achieve this vision? And the second question, I'm going to ask you the second question. If you need me to remind you, how would you describe the types of improvements we are hoping to see in this area?
Well, I'm like a politician. I answer whatever I want to, no matter what the question posed is. So elevating research is, it has to be a priority for us as a university. Since our mission, we want to transform student lives. That means that we are actually in the business of knowledge, right? That's the business that we are in, is the business of knowledge. We create knowledge, we extend knowledge, we communicate knowledge, and we consume knowledge, right? That's what we do as an institution. And so when I talk about elevating research, I know that Cece will be following me. I'm going to leave for her to talk more about sponsored research as well. I'm going to talk research just more generally, because whether a faculty member is trying to figure out how to kill cancer cells, or how to increase crop yields, or how to extend leadership theories, or how to correct historical records, or writing plays, or writing symphonies, or a new way to counsel people to be more resilient, right? All of that centers around this idea of knowledge. And so for us to really be successful as an institution, for us to achieve our mission, we have to do a better job of knowledge creation and dissemination through all of that. I am a researcher. I'm still quite active, even though I'm the provost, in doing research and publishing. We have to really raise the bar on every piece and part of our campus. Now, first of all, most of that's going to be done through the academic colleges, right? Because each college, and within each college, each department, what knowledge creation, communication, and extension looks like is going to be different. And so that's why many of those goals and many of those action steps and objectives will take place there. However, at the academic affairs level, more broadly, there's a lot of things that we're doing and will continue to do. Number one, we've increased research databases on our campus, and we plan to continue to. No, we will never have probably the type of monies that we can get everything for everybody. But that's been an area of importance, and it's something that we have been able to do, and we plan to continue that. We've also increased the amount of dollars available for faculty development. In other words, we've guaranteed faculty members, if they get a paper on their national meeting, we will guarantee that they get up to $2,000 of funding to travel. Even if their department in college can't quite cover that, we will see to it. We've been able to cover even folks who were doing a second at another meeting and that kind of thing. A lot of that comes directly to my office that we've been able to fund. We plan to continue that. We've increased the funding also as far as experiential learning. I'm looking at Dr. Hendricks' face here. He does a lot of that for us and a lot of those types of trips. And that is knowledge creation, right? I put that in the realm of elevating research on our campus more broadly, because that absolutely is a knowledge creating activity. We have tried to do better and increase the amount of student-faculty interaction when it comes to research. I'll just give you a personal example. Just this past year, one of the GAs in the College of Business worked with myself and Dr. Payne Hayden on a research project. That project, we presented it at the Academy meeting. It won the John F. Mee Award for Outstanding Intellectual Contribution. We've already published that in a journal, and that young man is now a doc student at UNT in management. We just got notified yesterday in Dr. Donham's college of a student at the Rellis campus who's got a presentation in cybersecurity that we're extraordinarily proud of. And so we plan to continue to push in that area. Dr. Green, of course, is directly involved with Honors College in a lot of the student faculty research efforts that are in there. And so we really cannot be a thriving university without consistently trying to elevate research broadly on our campus. Not only will it help us attract students, it will most certainly help us attract graduate students. I will tell you, it also helps attract quality faculty. If you have somebody in a department who is doing high-level research, is publishing in A journals, that attracts other people that want to come work with that individual. And so all of that has to take place if we truly are going to offer our students a transformative experience. And to kind of sort of hand the ball off a little bit here, one of the ways, though, that you most measure the elevation of research is on sponsored research. And some areas of our campus do more of that than others. And I was very pleased that you will have Dr. Gassner discuss sponsored research as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Humphreys. And also, we appreciate you share the student successful stories. That's very inspiring. Thank you.
And by the way, for those of you that don't know, yes, I am in my bedroom at home. I caught the coronavirus. I'm recovering. I will be back soon.
We wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Dr. Gassner, so I'm going to turn the questions to you. Please tell us about some of the work being done in your area to help achieve this goal, elevate research. What types of measures or metrics are you looking at to help track progress in these areas? What does our current progress look like on these measures?
Thank you. So good to be here this morning. Appreciate the opportunity, and just wanted to pick up on a couple of threads that Dr. Humphreys had talked about. One of the main premises of why research can be really so important at a university is it also helps in attracting and retaining the students. That doing the research can really be a way for them to take what they've been learning in the classroom and start applying it so that they get that excitement. They understand why it is that they are studying something in the classroom and how it's going to apply to their own life. And in that way, they start to discover even more about themselves, right? They start to develop their own passions and start to figure out exactly what it is that they want to be doing after they graduate from the university. So for what we're doing, I think it's really important for the Office of Sponsored Programs and for the division in general to always be trying to up our own game. We work with a great group of faculty that are always coming to us with terrific proposals and ideas for different areas that they want to discover more about. And for us, it's really incumbent on us to make sure we are ready to give them the best help we can and make sure that their proposal puts its best foot forward. So some of our goals are about our own continued professional development and making sure that we are constantly going to webinars and conferences, reading up on best practices and making sure that we are putting those best practices into play in all of our own processes here at the university. We also do keep track of certain indicators, as you mentioned, about how much research is being done. And this can be done in a number of ways. Just saying something like how many research projects are being done is almost impossible to measure. I mean, how do you really measure what is a research project or a form of creative activity? It's just, it can almost start to boggle the mind to figure out exactly how you want to define that. So we can look at some other metrics, such as how many proposals are we submitting for external funding? How many of those proposals are actually being funded? And how much money is being awarded to the university for that funding? And then, of course, one of the big metrics is how are expenditures going? Are we actually putting that money to the right use in research? And that's one of the ways that the amounts of awards and the amounts of expenditures are typically seen across universities as the gauges of how much research is being done. You hear about the very high research activities, especially those that have medical schools, and they frankly might be in the hundreds of millions of dollars of research every year. We're not there, but I'm not that concerned about that. I'm not trying to compete with with Harvard with its medical school and dozens of centers and institutes. We are making great progress in the number of proposals that we've been submitting and how successful we have been. Last year, we had $3.3 million in research expenditures. I'm taking a look at where we are, and I'll admit, with the pandemic, keeping a lot of people out of the labs or finding a way to slow down what they were doing because we had to make sure everybody was healthy and safe. Our research expenditures slowed down a little bit during the summer, but we're getting right back to where we were at as we're all adjusting and figuring out how we can get back to the very important and valuable work of making sure we're continuing with our research projects. So I think this time next year, we'll be able to report a slight increase in that amount. And I'm always happy to share with people more information on how we're doing and what we're seeing for trends.
Thank you so much. I love hearing increase, even it's a slight, slight increase. That's wonderful. Now let's ask Dr. Ray Green. It's going to be the same question, Dr. Ray Green. And so in your area, please tell us some of the work being done to elevate research and what types of measure or metrics are you looking at to help track progress in these areas, and what does your current progress look like on these measures? I believe Dr. Green has some screen to share.
Okay, let me do that super fast. Do you see a PowerPoint screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Very good. Okay. All right. Well, I think the most obvious way that the Honors College helps elevate research on campus is through our honors thesis process. At any given time, approximately 100 students are involved in research or creative activities working with faculty. And it plays a really important role in helping strengthen the infrastructure of research on our campus. You know, not being an R1, we only have a handful of doctoral programs. Many of our master's programs don't require theses. So we're able to provide a cadre of students who are capable of helping faculty with their research agenda, while obviously learning for themselves how to conduct research, think critically, create the creative projects that they have done. One of the challenges, though, of course, is that they're generally inexperienced in doing research. And so we have to highly structure the process. We place our students in a thesis preparation class that helps unpack what that infrastructure is for them. You know, we talk about what a thesis is at the most basic level. We talk about timelines, materials they may need, how to secure those, compliance issues so that we make sure the students have done the proper trainings, so on and so forth. And then we also, probably the most important part of it, is helping them understand how to work with faculty members, what that means, what that collaboration is, which of course is another one of our strategic priorities of encouraging the student-involved collaboration and interdisciplinary work. And that, aside from the research, obviously helps our students in creating connections with faculty that are going to help them get more out of the college experience, network professionally so that they have better opportunities in industry or going into graduate school. And so the thesis process does a lot in that area. In addition, though, thankfully, Dr. Humphreys provides money for undergraduate research and creative activity grants. And so those are available to all undergraduates, not just honors college students. And those help remove some barriers to getting research done. You know, they can receive up to $500 in any given semester, which is not a lot from our perspective. But obviously, if an undergraduate had to out of pocket find $500 to conduct their research, you could see how that might not happen. But it also helps provide some support for the faculty who are willing to take time to mentor and shape our students. So the thesis and the research and creative activity grants are two of the things that we do to help elevate research. To assess how we're doing on that, each of our students have thesis defenses, and we ask our committees to evaluate those theses on 10-point scales. And some of that information on what they look at is on the screen. And that gives us feedback if there are consistent weaknesses in what the students are doing on how to structure that class that I mentioned earlier. And we're just looking for constant improvement. As I mentioned, though, on the PowerPoint screen, we may be getting to a ceiling point. You know, one of my favorite movies to watch with my children was The Incredibles. And one of the ideas in there is once everyone is super, nobody is. And so, you know, we're like Lake Wobegon. All the theses are above average at this point. So we may have to blow up our rating scale and reconfigure that. But the point is that many of our students are doing excellent work. And it is not uncommon for the thesis committees, for instance, at the end to say that this is work that is equal to, if not better, from what they've seen from many graduate students. So looking forward to helping continue grow research on our campus. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Green. All right, we'll move forward to the next strategic priority. This one is about student preparedness. Under this priority, we have three goals. First, provide a transformative and experiential education that prepares students for a rapidly changing world. Goal 2, pursue academic excellence, new and enhanced programs, innovative pedagogies, and an engaging environment for students learning to increase students' retention and success. Goal 3, collaborate with internal and external partners to increase students' research opportunities and career readiness. Dr. Dobbs, we have two questions for you. So why is student preparedness an important priority to help A&M Commerce achieve its vision? How would you describe the types of improvement we are hoping to see in this area?
I think to begin with, I'd relate a story that I had experienced one of the more recent times that I taught. I taught American history to freshmen. One of the things that I ask is fill out your name, put your name on a card, your hometown, you know, something your hometown's noted for, and then any question you have about college. And I like to take those back to the office after that first session and kind of look over the college questions to see what's on people's minds. A few semesters back, I was struck by one of those questions, and that was, is it worth it? We have a real challenge in our environment right now that we need to convince the students who come here, who take a chance on us, that it's worth it. And luckily, we have some help from the state of Texas, which is a strange thing to say. But what I mean by that is they've established a strategic plan for higher education, 60 by 30. And that strategic plan is emphasizing marketable skills. And one of the tasks that everybody on campus would have had in the run-up to the COVID, and even perhaps a bit afterwards, was to identify for each program marketable skills that are imparted by that program. And now those are included in our assessment plans for IE, and those moving forward will be things that we measure. The thing about this is that it's not only the expectation of our students that when they come to us that they will be able to go out into the world and do well. We need to be able to tell that story to convince them to come here and stick with us to begin with. This is very much about enrollment and retention, as well as about equipping students. And so in the future, we will be better able, I think, to assess what we're doing for our students, how we're developing them, and also tell our story to stakeholders.
Thank you, Dr. Dobbs. Dr. VR, from your perspective, could you tell us about some of the work being done in your area to help achieve this priority, and what types of measure are you looking at to help track progress in this area? What does our current progress look like on these measures?
Thanks, Dr. Sue. The College of Innovation and Design is unique because we not only house academic degree programs, but we also have student support services all within the same area. So that enables a lot of comparison and a lot of collaboration that may or may not be available in other colleges. In terms of our academic programs, we are also unique. There are 3 million Texans that have partial college but no degree, and seemingly no institutions that want to go after that pocket of students but us. So that is what's unique about the College of Innovation Design, is that our academic programs are aimed for adult completer students, those that are marginalized and often forgotten. And these are precisely the students in this pandemic changing economy that need to enter the job market, they need to upskill, they need to reskill, and they need to do so rapidly. So the College of Innovation and Design specializes in being agile and adaptive to the changing environment. So we rely very heavily on advisory boards to shape our curriculum and to tell us what an employer is looking for in terms of student preparedness. And then we design that into our curriculum. Interestingly enough, the first year track and also career development are also in the College of Innovation and Design. And even for our freshman students, we are integrating Stanford University's Design Your Life curriculum, which is a career development theory, is being put into the freshman success course. So even our freshmen are being exposed and starting that mindset of, how do I prepare myself for what I want to do with the rest of my life? In terms of measures and metrics in the college, when you look at the student learning outcome, when you're looking at individual courses, the first year track, we're using graduation rates, we're using retention rates as metrics, but we're also looking at student well-being, we're looking at student satisfaction. Our core curriculum in general education uses signature assignments, and also AACNU's value rubrics, which are tremendously helpful for those of you that are looking for a rubric that can transcend a discipline, that can transcend and enable comparison between various colleges on measures. There are 13, actually there are 16 different value rubrics. They are free for you to download and use. At the program learning outcome, we're also using the value rubrics, but we're having our advisory board use a tool that's normally used by academics to look at actual student artifacts. And we have our advisory board weigh in. Would you hire this student? Would you promote this student? Can the student do what you need them to do in the marketplace? And so we have validation from the advisory board. And finally, the Institute for Competency-Based Education is a national leader in terms of student success outcomes and the assessment of those in our competency-based programs. Carlos Rivers, if you get a chance to watch a Institute's webinar put on by Carlos Rivers, that is assessment on steroids. We know through Carlos's work that our competency-based outcomes are outdoing our traditional programs. So students in that accelerated 7-week program are doing much better than students in the traditional program. Their graduation rate is much better. Their retention rate is higher. They're graduating faster and with far less debt. So those are the types of things you want to track and then inform those into the shaping of your programs. Our core curriculum is also doing well. We have made an effort this year, and Dr. Quinn Dang leads that initiative, to close the gap. So rather than just reporting and recording the assessment data, Dr. Quinn is actually going back to every department, bringing them their results and having a dialogue with them for continuous improvement. This is the results. This is how you compare to other people that are assessing, say, critical thinking. What do we want to do about that? How can we improve on these scores? And how do we want to, go about collaboratively so that we assess together? So the challenge that remains in the college is that those traditional programs now are in the same house as our competency-based programs. And so where we used to be able to say, well, competency-based programs are doing much better than traditional programs, now it's my responsibility to improve the traditional programs that maybe are not doing as well as the competency-based programs. And so now that they're all, being managed by one leadership team and the faculty are collaborating with one another, through assessment, we will be able to see what gains are made in the improvements that we are trying to put in our traditional programs so that they can meet the level of achievement that we're seeing in our competency-based programs. So that's a little bit about the College of Innovation and Design.
Thank you so much for sharing. You set your own bar really high for yourself. And yes, we do see some outstanding stats from your college, like student satisfaction, their graduation rate, and also time to degree. Those are very nice. We also ranked on US News as the best undergraduate online programs, thanks to your programs. I'm going to turn to Dr. Ballenger, and we're going to ask the same question. Please tell us some of the work being done in your area. You are the professor, and you're also the president of the Faculty Senate. To help achieve this goal, what types of measures or metrics are you looking at to help track all this progress? What does our current progress look like on these measures?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sue. Yes, I'm representing Faculty Senate in this response. And so what we did was we asked each of our senators to provide an answer to the 3 questions. Talk to your faculty, talk with your department chair or head, and respond to the 3 questions. And most of the colleges and departments across the university responded. So first of all, I looked for commonalities. And in the first question, they were remarkable. It was striking how the commonalities with what are you doing really to help achieve the goal of transformation and experiential. For the most part, 2 things really emerged, and one was establishing partnerships across the university. Departments, faculty members are using external resources in the form of people, resources, to either come into the classroom and share their expertise, or now go virtual and share their expertise. And most importantly, work cooperatively with our students. And so one of the things that I want to specifically share is with our department, this is Ed Leadership, we were able to get a partnership with a service center, and that's not easy to do. This is Region 10 Educational Service Center. It's partnering with our superintendent program. Also, we've had the cohort partnership with Mesquite, and we've added Tyler. And so that is something that we want to continue to do. Other examples of activities to help achieve the goal. The library is just amazing at the programs that they have for our faculty as well as for our students. And so they did a dissertation 101, and I emailed one of my doctoral students and I said, you need to sign up for this. Scott Lancaster is great. He is our librarian. And she said, Dr. Ballenger, I've already signed up for that. And that was on a Saturday. And so the librarian offers many, many resources to improve literacy and research skills for our students. Other examples include our students are participating with professionals in business to network and increase their skills in analytics and cyber security. Some of our students created face shields for local hospitals during the summer of 2019. Students are managing technology and using a variety of digital platforms. Another commonality was the redesigning and restructuring of programs. Higher ed and learning technologies basically have completely revamped, restructured, and strengthened each of their programs in the department to include critical thinking skills. And the next question says, well, what type of metrics are you looking to help? Besides the institutional effectiveness metrics across campus, chairs and faculty members are comparing the performance of the students to what is expected nationally, what is expected statewide. And of course, we want to be ahead of the expectations. The nursing department stated that their goal is a first-time pass rate, on-time graduation, and they want to increase that cutoff score. Another program mentioned measuring student progress through course and program reviews, as well as monitoring student success. The last question, what does our current program look like on these measures? 30 doctoral students completed their dissertation and graduated in 2019, and that was from one program, Educational Leadership. On the average, 100 students were successful in meeting the expectations set forth. Those were the students in the engineering and technology area who participated in the senior design project, 100%. Commonalities I see definitely are student success, engage, and participating with external partners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ballenger. I've seen some very wonderful data come from the area of your students, and some of the faculty's name being mentioned so many times, and it could also almost form its own word cloud. So thank you for what you guys do for the students. We're now move forward to next strategic priority, which is create an inclusive community characterized by respect and collaboration. And then this priority, there are three goals. The first one, enhance civility and collegiality of administrators, faculty, staff, and students. Goal number 2, recruit, develop, and retain diverse students, faculty, staff, and administrators. Goal number 3, create occasions for meaningful interactions across the university, including opportunities that enhance global awareness. Dr. Hendricks, please tell us why is creating an inclusive community an important priority to our university? How would you describe the type of improvements we are hoping to see in this area?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Sue. For some of my colleagues who are present today, Monday I had a meeting with a lot of guys and colleagues across campus, and I just got back from the dentist's office. and it was difficult for me to speak, and most of my colleagues applauded the fact that I could not talk. I did not have to mute myself. I just couldn't talk for 30 minutes. But now that my mouth is feeling much better, I'm happy to report 15 weeks of work with all of you. So just buckle your seats and enjoy this presentation. Just kidding, dial it down. A couple of things. Let's go back to see how we got to where we are right now. 2 years ago, President Rudin stood on the stage and he said to the employees of the university, we have to learn how to treat each other with more respect. Provost Humphreys came back and told the academic side of the house, by the way, we got to treat our students with dignity and respect. So a committee was put together, the Civility Task Force, and our first goal was to assess what is the climate on campus. We had around 225 faculty members, around 252 staff individuals, and roughly around 23 administrators complete an engagement survey. Most of you should have already received that document. It's about 29 pages in length, and then there were about another 30 pages of comments in size 8 font, which basically means if it had been in size 12 font, it probably been about 100 pages of comments that individuals also presented. What we found for the most part up front is we have around 26% of our employees who are totally disengaged with the university. Disengaged simply being defined as, for the most part, they're here, they're doing some work, and then they're out of here. And then we have about 44% of our employees who are defined as partially engaged with the university. And then you have 30% of our employees who are fully engaged being, for the most part, they're working with students on campus. Alexander Aston theory teaches us that if we can get a student with a faculty or a staff member, we have a greater chance of retaining that student here at the university. You've heard the old adage from a business perspective, you normally have 20% of the people doing 80% of the work. Well, if you look at what we found with our survey, we got 30% of our individuals who are fully engaged at the university. So what did we decide to do beyond that? We brought in the Dale Carnegie group to do some civility training. Right now, we have had over 200 employees to go through the civility training. We had one Monday and Wednesday of this week with the College of Education and the College of Science. We have another one going on at 11 o'clock on today as well. What we have found that for the most part, with those individuals that are going through the civility training, our focus is, our focus is simply to take that 44% that's partially engaged. We got to move about 25 to 30% of that over into the fully engaged category here at the university. Dr. Humphreys mentioned a few minutes ago about the experiential learning that takes place on campus. I know Dr. Green does it with the Honors College. A lot of colleagues do it across campus as well. I have had 450 students go through the experiential learning that we do, our civil rights classes, our trips to Costa Rica, Mexico, and so forth. From a retention standpoint, I have reached out to at least 375 of those individuals. We were coming together this summer to meet with Frank and Rosalie Turner, who actually have been the impetus behind the experiential learning. Unfortunately, COVID kicked in. We couldn't do anything with those individuals, but we have planned it for the fall semester if the COVID were to lift. So what we're doing with that, what we're doing with our civility training, the next stage is beginning in January. We're going to start taking our student leaders on campus through the civility training as well. And then we'll bring everybody back together to talk about the best practices that we've learned out of that. If you have not received the result of the employee assessment engagement, send me an email. Be more than happy to send it to you because it's quite revealing and quite telling about what's currently happening on campus here at the university.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hendricks. I think I need to get my civility training myself. I'm coming.
Yes, please do. Because, yes, thank you so much. Our administrators have gone through it. Faculty staff has gone through it, but we want to move forward and do more here on campus.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Miss Judy Sackfield, please tell us about some of the work being done in your area and help achieve this goal. What types of measures or metrics are you looking at to help track progress in this area? What does our current progress look like on these measures?
Yeah, so I want to thank you very much, Dr. Dan Sue, for having me here today. It is important in the division of campus life and student success, really to shift our mindset and to be very mindful of our minoritized populations as a focus. When we're thinking about services and programming, we want to design them with all in mind and not majority in mind. So what does that look like for our division? We now offer our student code of conduct in 2 languages, as we recognize that over 20% of our student population identifies that English is not their first language. Our counseling center offers bilingual counselors to be sure we are able to offer outreach with students and families where English isn't their first language. We have recently established the Office of Latinx Engagement and Outreach, what we kind of call it our LEO. This is a big moment for families to leave their sons and daughters on our campus. And if they are not understanding the rules and expectations, it can be a bit scary for them. And this office provides a measure of security for those families. And I'm excited to work with Dr. Fred Fuentes as we develop this office to be a destination for our Latinx students and families. A budding partnership with our cultural engagement and leadership, our IEL office and our Office of International Programs. Cross-programming to pair students up with domestic students. So there is a cultural exchange, not only going to functions that are typical of the American culture, but to also go to functions that are in our international communities. IEL celebrates all the time our African-American, Latinx, and LGBTQ plus communities with special graduation ceremonies. And I think that's been done, and it's been a huge hit on our campus. And in addition, IEL propels the celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, Pride Month, Black History Month, and many more. Collaboration within our division as well as with other departments is important to be sure that students are included, recognized, and celebrated. And so how do we measure that, and how are we doing that? As a new VP, we're developing our own strategic plan right now. So we are going through that and integrating and collaborating with all. It's not going to be just me telling them what to do. And so we want to measure things with surveys associated with the student experience for sure. Participation numbers, I know that sounds very basic, but those numbers are important. Who's actually engaging with what we're doing? And more specific developed programs we may look at in the future with pre-tests and post-tests to see how we're doing. We've established an African-American and Latinx initiative committees that are working to find out barriers that these specific populations are having as they maneuver through the experience here and beyond. And it's not just at our institution, but what are those barriers entering as they're here and beyond when they go out into the world? And we hope we prepare them well for everything. And then what does that current progress look like for us? And we're shaping it right now. I think as this new position that I'm in the last few months, it's been important to get to know what we've done, what we want to do, and where we look at our data and what we look at with our data to figure out where we're going to head in the future. And so I'm very excited about the opportunities that we have. This division is student-centric all the way. And but we do have to meet the needs to make sure that we have this inclusive community and have this characterized by that respect and collaboration.
Thank you so much, Miss Judy. This is very exciting to hear. Now we're going to turn to Dr. Romero to address create an inclusive community characterized by respect and collaboration. Dr. Romero, please tell us some of the work being done in your area, human resources, to help achieve this goal. What types of measures or metrics are you looking at to help track progress in this area? What does our current progress look like on these measures? I believe Dr. Romero has some slides to share.
Yes, thanks. Thanks, Dr. Sue. I would Our approach is a little bit different in the sense that we've been undergoing a transformation of our own over the last several years, and we've had to tackle some tough challenges, and so I wanted to focus on, in particularly today, I wanted to talk a little bit about planning for the future and responding to the present, which is the title of today's Quality Day presentation. And it's important that in HR, in order for us to be able to be transformative, in order for us to be innovative long-term, and in order for us to be sustainable and of course inclusive, we have to do some things different. And I want to talk a little bit about that because that's relevant to the overall service to the institution, not just particularly to this strategic goal or this strategic priority, but when we look at the entire institution, we address all of the points within the strategic plan for the institution. And so we looked at creating a mission statement and values and commitments. And I know that sounds kind of cliche-ish because it's something that we have, most of us have in our offices and at the institution. But the reason why it's important for us is because it helps to shape what we want to do internally. And in order for us to be able to help the institution, we have to help ourselves first. And so why is the mission statement, values, and commitments important to creating an inclusive community characterized by respect and collaboration? Well, it's very simple. This document helps us change. It's a change in how we conduct ourselves. And basically, it's a paradigm shift from how we used to conduct business. And, I'll be the first to admit some of the challenges that we've had in the past has been well-deserved. And for those of you that have been around for a while, know that that's been a challenge in our office. That's no secret. And we've gone through extensive work to try and change that perspective at the institution. And in order for us to be able to change the culture to be more inclusive with respect and collaboration, we have to think of it from an operational perspective, and we need to think different, but we also have to act different. And so when we look at the mission statement that we have, the values and the commitments, one of the things that we came out of in our retreat, our staff, is to be part of the change. That's our mottos: be part of the change. If we want to enhance civility and collegiality with administrators, faculty, staff, and students, we need to be part of the change. If we want to recruit, develop, and retain diverse students, faculty, staff, and administration, we have to be part of the change. And if we want to create occasions for meaningful interactions across the university, including opportunities that enhance global awareness, we have to be part of the change. But we can't just tell our employees to be more inclusive. We can't just tell them to be more civil. We can't tell them to be more respectful. We have to create that environment. We have to nurture the place at work where it's part of our everyday life and becomes part of our culture. You heard Dr. LaVelle Hendricks, and you heard others talk about inclusive, civility, etc. But part of that onus is on us. We have to create that environment in order for students to have a good experience on our campus, employees, faculty, staff, students, etc. And one of the things that we did also is in looking at our mission statement and our values and our commitments, we didn't just tell our staff that we want them to be more inclusive or more civil or more respectful, etc. But instead we expect it. That there is no if and or buts. It's an expectation that we expect out of our staff. And by that I mean that each one of our staff members, in looking at and reading our values or commitments, they sign on the dotted line saying that they're committed. And so it's hard to imagine that over the last 4 years, excuse me, we've had a 80% turnover rate, excuse me, in HR. And people would ask, well, why is that so high? And the reason why it's high is because we needed to make some changes. We needed to make some dramatic changes at the institution in terms of our culture, starting internally, starting with our staff. And we talked about it internally as a group, and we agreed, all agreed that if we were going to be an influence of change and be part of this change that we espouse and this motto that we are pushing for, that we have to start internally. We have to start with ourselves. And so one of the things that we all agreed to is, okay, well, in terms of our commitment, we will sign on the bottom line to make the commitment that we're going to abide by this mission statement. As through these strategic partnerships, teamwork and collaboration, human resources supports the mission of the university, i.e. that refers to the, that refers to the education, discover, achieve mission statement that was mentioned earlier. I'm having some technical difficulties, hang on with me. I have 3 screens, and so you know how that works sometimes. We are dedicated to encouraging a healthy, safe, and inclusive environment that elevates the entire HR experience for A&M Commerce's applicants, employees, retirees, and dependents by focusing on quality service and consultation. I don't know how many people recognize or realize that a lot of what we do encompasses everyone on this campus, everyone at the institution, from many students, student employees, all the way to our faculty, our retirees. Everyone goes through HR. And so we have a specific hand in dealing with each one of those. But when we look at really what we want to do and we look at our values, one of the things that we have to do is be accountable. We have to be accountable to ourselves. We also have to have balance. And this COVID, I'm telling you, it's been stressful for many of us on this campus. And we've had to provide a lot of information in our weekly listserv and in our monthly newsletters about wellness and about benefits and about time and leave and alternative work locations. And it's just been very stressful for our staff, not only for, of course, our university, but keep in mind the folks that work in HR are also human, and they also have kids, and they also have spouses, and they also have individuals that are getting sick. And we've had, family members of our staff that have passed due to COVID. And these are the things that the university community doesn't hear about, but we're here providing service to our university employees every day. We want to be fair, we want to have integrity, and we want to also provide the leadership that we need. And these are, and I'm not going through specifically and talking in more detail, these are all specific, our values, and I can tie each one of these back to our strategic plan at the university in terms of our metrics and our HR. But I wanted to share more of a perspective of operationally on the human component on what we're doing and the importance of what we're doing in HR, because this sets our foundation in order to do all the things that the institution wants to do from a strategic plan perspective. And so part of our commitment to the institution is also being responsive to being able to resolve issues before they become problems. Oftentimes, and there for a while, we had a lot of issues. And I know when Dr. Rudin came, we had lots of complaints, a lot of, not in HR, but in the institution. That was our culture. And we have always espoused to try and sit around the table and talk about these issues, whatever that might be in terms of conflict. We want to be responsive. We want to provide information to our employees. We want to communicate. One of the things that I heard last week in conversation with our staff is that a lot of the folks that we send out information to in terms of our weekly, monthly newsletter or our weekly listservs in terms of communicating with them don't read the information we send. It's kind of ironic that we're in an institution with in an academic setting where we hold students accountable when we give them a syllabi or syllabus, because the syllabus is the document that they're supposed to read to know what we're doing in the classroom. Likewise, whenever we send information for benefits, for wellness, for activities that happen around the institution, we also want and expect our individuals to be able to read that information because it's timely, because we've been told that it's important. We want to embrace change. We want to be creative. We want to be innovative. You talk to any one of my staff and they will tell you that part of what we want to do for this community is be a strategic partner, just like our mission statement says. We're not just an obstacle for being able to provide obstacles to individuals. We want to help them solve the problems and then also make value-driven decisions, data-informed decisions. One of the things that we're wanting to do and what we're actually doing is we've shared this with Faculty Senate last year, is working on dashboards. We met with the president a couple weeks ago to talk about the dashboards that we're using with data metrics and HR metrics, which are very complicated, which we'll be sharing very soon. And along with the IE survey every semester, in terms of the metrics that we use, we've created an alternative dispute resolution to address some of our issues across campus. We're cleaning HR data to become more valid whenever we share that information. We're also going to be moving. We're going to be moving to, we haven't made really this announcement yet, but we're moving to the old nursing building, which is going to be called the Employee Services Building, whereby we're going to move wellness, we're going to move benefits, we're going to move the Center for Professional Development there, we're going to move payroll, we're going to have training and development under one roof, we're going to have a computer lab, we're going to have training rooms. So we're going to structure our services quite different than where we were several years back. And so we're excited about that. All of that, of what I'm quickly sharing and briefly sharing, is that it impacts our inclusive community. It impacts our strategic priorities, which are, student preparedness, elevating research, transforming our operations, aligning our initiatives. All of that is relevant when we talk about the structure of HR and what we do to serve our university community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Romero. What a strong statement. I'm taking a note. I remember what you said. We have to be part of the change. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll move on to next strategic priority, which is align our initiatives to support our unique urban-rural identity. Under this strategic priority, we have 3 goals: serve as a hub for educational opportunities in East Texas, leverage the assets of the university for the economic, cultural, health, and the social benefit of the region. Goal 3, cultivate and strengthen partnerships that serve regional needs. Dr. Rudin, we're going to turn these questions back to you. Why is aligning our initiatives to support our unique urban-rural identity an important priority to help A&M Commerce achieve its vision? How would you describe the types of improvements we are hoping to see in this area?
Well, Dr. Sue, thank you very much for that. When I go out and talk to folks, I talk and brag about our student preparedness and elevate research and inclusivity and all these various goals that we have at our university. But I caveat all that with, I don't believe we can fully achieve those goals without aligning ourselves with the community. And you have heard a couple of folks around the screen, Dr. Ballenger, Dr. Villanueva-Russell, and so forth, talking about leveraging resources that exist out in the community to make us better teachers, make us better researchers, better support our students. So you can go goal by goal, student preparedness, and talk about how the benefits we derive from aligning ourselves with the community. So student preparedness, internship opportunities, experiential learning, seminars, adjuncts, bringing in expertise and teaching our students. Elevating research, we have a lot of assets at this university that I think we should be doing as much as we can to leverage those assets and leverage the assets that exist out in business and the community. And so we derive a lot of benefit from the community. But I also want to create a situation where we create a lot of benefit for the community. and it's always been one of my goals and objectives through this goal, is to demonstrate to the community that we are open for business. We have people, places, and things that I think could benefit businesses out there. And I think Cece will be talking a little bit about what those specifically are, but we cannot be successful without aligning ourselves with the community. And Dr. Sue, I'll end with this. You know, when I first got here, I heard little snippets of, boy, we are so far away from Dallas. We are so far. I beg to differ. I think that we are uniquely situated to simultaneously serve the urban and rural needs in Northeast Texas, right? And I don't care if that's education, we can serve the urban and rural education needs, or agriculture. We can serve the rural and urban ag initiatives and directions in this part of the country, or in this part of the state. So I think it's to our advantage that we leverage that urban rural identity and use it to our advantage to recruit, to move the university forward, and just make us a better university overall. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Dr. Rudin. I agree. Yes, we do have our urban-rural identity, very unique. It has its perks. I remember Dr. Harp had a student transfer from some Denton area that came to our agriculture program. They said, well, we don't have that kind of country feeling over there, but we love to be with A&M Commerce. Thank you for addressing that. Dr. Cece Gassner, I'm going to turn the question back to you. I'm not going to read all those 3 questions. Please tell us your experience.
You know, I think just to tag on a little bit to what Dr. Rudin was talking about, we really don't have as clean a separation anymore between these urban and rural areas. I mean, so many people in North Texas are very frequently going right into the heart of downtown Dallas, and then the next day they're going out to their favorite fishing spot, right? They're going back and forth pretty fluidly. And we have a lot of assets here that do, it's the same thing. They go back and forth fluidly. So many folks in our music department, for example, are also the main performers for the Dallas Symphony. And we have so many different researchers whose research is working not just with students who happen to live in a rural setting, but also students who are in, for example, urban ISDs. So I think we have a lot to contribute there. We have a lot of different expertise that we can really unleash, just to show that we're not just in one specific area. We certainly aren't just within the confines of our campus here in Commerce.
Thank you so much. Dr. Young, would you please tell us about some of the work being done in your area to help achieve this priority, and what are the measuring metrics, and what progress you look forward to see with these measures?
Okay. Well, glad to have an opportunity to speak to you about this. One of the things that you've heard already from many of the presenters would be the need to collaborate and work in partnership with a variety of internal and external agencies. 2 initiatives that we have involved with our urban academic initiatives would be our extended university sites and our academic academy proposals that we have on ground now, that we're working with many of the former Dallas Community College District entities. The extended university sites provides students who are within the Dallas metro as well as Navarro, Texas, with an opportunity to pursue selective undergraduate and graduate educational programs and degrees, oftentimes within 15 to 20 minutes of where either they work or they live, which gives them an opportunity to continue their educational goals and objectives when they may not, because of life, to be able to move to Commerce. These students are really interested in having a face-to-face learning experience for which they can achieve at the extended university sites. At those sites, we offer, as you see, some 14 undergraduate programs and roughly 21 graduate programs. Again, for students who want to transfer in, either from the community colleges and the Dallas college system. And I think that's a very important point to look at when you talk about collaboration. If you look at the 7 Dallas college sites, they make up roughly 70,000 students which is a tremendous population of future transfer students that we can use. And because of our work with them, we have an opportunity to benefit from our relationship with the Dallas Promise program, for which they are also a partner that helps direct students from the Dallas metro area into the Dallas College models, which we hope then to move them from as transfers into A&M Commerce, either online, face-to-face, or at our extended university sites. What we have discovered that there are many students within the Dallas metro area for which the opportunity to move to Commerce and commute is not feasible, but they are looking for a quality academic experience for which we can provide them at a reasonable cost with outstanding faculty and staff and services that will help them pursue their dreams. So that system really combines that urban rural connection that Dr. Rudin mentioned a minute ago, how we service that component. The next element that I think also will be adding to that partnership and collaboration and that urban-rural relationship will be the development of our academic academies. These are opportunities to work again primarily with the Dallas College model in providing an opportunity to teach courses on selected campuses in the areas of business, education, and agriculture, where students who start off at those programs, at those campuses, can look at continuing the last 2 years of their undergrad programs at the same location, being taught by faculty from A&M Commerce. These academies will also develop a much closer level of collaboration with our faculty and their faculty in developing the rigor of the courses and expectation, and again, showing a pathway for students who may start as a freshman at Dallas College in business to see a way that they can get their bachelor's degree and perhaps even their master's degree at some of our extended university programs or either transfer to the main campus. But more than simply transfer articulation, these programs, the academies, really want to develop a relationship with the institution, with Dallas College, where we have their faculty members visit our campus, their students visit our campus. We look at best practices that can be utilized. We will have a faculty member on their campus teaching our courses and developing that relationship, and also marketing strategies. Imagine the benefit of being able to look at, again, the 70,000 students that make up Dallas College and the roughly 54,000 that make up the Dallas Promise program. As we relate with the Dallas College component with these academies, we have an opportunity to start recruiting students as early as 8th and 9th grade, with the idea of going again to the Dallas College, perhaps for the first 2 years, that's the right thing for them, but then looking at them transferring to us to complete their last 2 years and then work on their graduate programs. The Rellis Academy is not really part of the extended university, but it's something that I think we want to touch on. It is one of the newest educational models that have been produced by the Texas A&M system. It is located in Bryan, Texas, and it is a conglomeration of several regional campuses that teach courses with Blaine University. We have the fortunate to have at least 18 students right now with that program. Dr. Brent Dunham is really the driver for that for the campus as dean of the College of Science and Engineering. He has really helped move that program along, and we expect to have our enrollment increase long-term for being there. Part of the tracking component that we wanted to talk on would be the extended university offers face-to-face course experiences, has a variety of opportunity of impacting enrollment. What we want to do also is expand the quality and the number of student services that we offer to students at those sites, since they go there primarily for their courses. We have been developing registration reports that will allow us to track those students and also their registration habits, so we can look at how they will impact future enrollment as well as graduation opportunities. And then looking at the marketing of those programs to be able to enhance how we grow our footprint within the Dallas market area. As far as with the academic academies, how we would track progress would be looking at the number of those programs that are in fact signed. We have one now that we hope to have signed before December, which will be for the Ag Academy, and we're looking at doing at least another 2 in business and education. The matrix that we will look at this point will be the number of students who actually participate in the academies, the number that complete the program at the academies, and then the number of students who actually transfer to A&M Commerce once they have completed their associate degree in those particular programs. Now, to put this in perspective as current and future, over the last 5 years, if you were to go from 2015 to 2020, the enrollment at the extended universities have averaged roughly for fall semester 1,360 students, which makes up roughly 10.8% of our total enrollment for the fall semester during that time period. And our enrollment between 15 and 2020 has been between 11,000 and 12,005. If you look at the spring semester, you can also see a continual growth. The average enrollment in the spring semester is 1,366 at the extended university, which equals roughly 11.4% of our total enrollment. So you can see from those numbers that the extended university really plays a very important role in the overall institution enrollment at average roughly 11%. This is without a concentrated marketing effort, without a review of program offering, and without looking at the number of courses we need to have a cycle where students can complete at least 80% of their courses at these sites. The other 20% could be online. We expect that once we add in a marketing component and begin to really hone in on the efficiency, that we could increase our enrollment at the extended university sites where maybe they become 15% of overall enrollment, which really goes to the growth of the campus. If we look at the extended university for the spring semester, we already have 480 students who are registered for spring 2021. We have 121 applications and 105 admitted students, and we're working to turn those into what we hope to be around 300 and 400 students admitted at the extended university as new students. At Relish University, we have 18 students from the fall semester, and again, that's a new program. We expect to continue to increase our enrollment there. And as I mentioned earlier, the agricultural MOU with the Academies with El Centro is something that we hope to have signed before December. All of which expands our footprint in the largest population, one of the largest populations in the state of Texas, that we can have as an opportunity to not only increase our growth and enrollment and SCH production, but also provide an opportunities for students in those locations to pursue their college career in a convenient and excellent opportunity for them to grow professionally.
Thank you so much, Dr. Young. Love seeing the numbers. Numbers speak louder than action. That's what I believe.
Well, that's one of the things we hope to do, be able to justify how we actually set these opportunities up. There's one thing I would like to mention before we move forward is that there are some things we want to do going forward. We want to look at the number of face-to-face courses that we offer at the Extended University to make sure they meet the right cycle for students who complete their programs. We really want to improve on our marketing to increase visibility for students who are in that Dallas Metro and Navarro area, the number of student services and sense of financial aid opportunities, counseling, career services. And we definitely want to work with the directors of the centers and the deans that control those courses to make sure we're offering the right programs and the right amount of courses so a student can see how they can complete their programs, their degree programs at the extended university sites. And last but not least, working with Marcom to develop a marketing strategy so the entire Dallas Metro realize we have those programs, they're there for them, and we're here to provide them with the opportunities to make their dreams come true. And as Dr. Humphrey mentioned earlier, to transform their lives. That's one of the things we want to do, and the sites give us that opportunity to do so.
Thank you for what you do, Dr. Young, and thanks for sharing. The last but not the least, we are going to move forward with a question to Ms. Nechell Barnes, and she's going to stress the last strategic priority, which is serve the mission of a contemporary university. 3 goals: invest in student recruitment, retention, graduation, and continued engagement. Number 2, increase organizational effectiveness by developing sound business practices that are intentional, collaborative, and data-informed. Number 3, diversify sources of funding and allocate resources strategically to promote innovation and effectiveness. I'm going to abbreviate the questions. What do you do? How do you measure? What are the expected outcomes? Ms. Bond.
Thank you, Dr. Sue. One of the benefits of going last is that I just get to sort of confirm what everyone else has already said in relation to our strategic planning. So, so my remarks will be brief for that reason. In terms of what do we do, we are certainly looking for opportunities to grow enrollment strategically, to take a very intentional approach with what the future of A&M Commerce looks like for our campus. And in doing that, we have definitely tapped into some strategic partners, not only just across campus. I'm looking at this screen, and I have had a wonderful opportunity to partner with every area, every department represented here for the program today. But most specifically, I will kind of point to some of the new initiatives that are happening between our enrollment management area and student success, and just sort of highlight that collaboration of working with our concierge group that is overseen by Judy Sackfield and her team. Judy and I often tease one another in saying that I bring them in, but Judy keeps them here and gets them across the finish line. And so it's definitely a team approach in doing that. And in terms of how are we approaching some of these different initiatives in terms of recruitment and enrollment, we're really definitely want to make sure that our actions are very data informed. In that we've again just sort of expanded on some partnerships with Ruffalo Noel Levitz, with EAB, with Hanover Research, just to look at our institutional data and the marketplaces that we're looking to serve and to expand, and making sure that we're doing that again very strategically and intentional to meet the goals that have been set forth by our institutional strategic plan. So a few things that I just want to highlight. We're very excited about finishing the opportunity to have some of our enrollment data analyzed and some models built for us to be able to look at our enrollment strategy and how we're leveraging aid and scholarships to students. We know that cost of college is something that is top of mind for many families. And so with our new scholarship plan, we'll be working with Ruffalo Noel Levitz and our consultant on actual tracking on a weekly basis to be able to be nimble in our strategies, being able to pivot whenever we may need to ensure that we're progressing towards those enrollment goals that we set forth. So that's one of the things I definitely just wanted to just kind of mention. We're very excited about that tracking. We just launched the scholarships and the model for this incoming fall group. And so we're looking forward to those partnerships and really working to get the word out about A&M Commerce. Marketing was mentioned a little bit earlier. I think Dr. Young mentioned that, and we have partnered with a marketing firm, Ology. And so enrollment management is working very directly with Ology and Marcom to build out, again, that marketing and communication strategy that is so important to make sure that we're all singing from the same horn, we're carrying a similar message, and in just ensuring that families are being reached very strategically, but very intentionally with our messaging and marketing. So with that, I just want to say, we're looking forward to big things and definitely more to come. This is my first quality day, so I'm so excited to be a part of the panel. So thank you for the time today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bounds. We really appreciate your time and your input. We probably won't be able to have any Q&A since we're running out of time, but thank you again for joining us for the strategic planning discussion for the 2020 Quality Day.